Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. It's good to have you here. My name is Gemma. I'm an advanced occultist and a criminologist. And today I would like to talk to you about convulsions of the universe. Okay? So it's proper out there stuff. And yeah, so these are aspects within our lives that we can experience just through observation, and also through, if you're spiritual, this can obviously be an aspect of something that we might experience as spiritual beings. Okay, so let's get into it. So what is convulsions of the universe? It sounds absolutely out there, so let's break this word down. Convulsions, what is this? It's more like, it sounds like really absolutely like it's like a volcano or something, like an eruption or something like that. Well, it can be an aspect of that, irregular movements though. This is irregular movements within our universe. So how can we explain these irregular movements? Because they actually contradict universal laws. Okay, they can actually contradict aspects of what we thought can be universal in nature, because it's an irregular pattern that emerges. Okay, and so this can happen in our lives, and we can see it throughout our lives as well. So I'll give examples, and then obviously we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay, but this is an aspect of the Mandela effect. Okay, so we can see this happening in the Mandela effect, where it's almost like something is always, it seemed to be one way, but then we looked at it again and it was like, it's different, it's not the same, and we can't understand it, we can't fathom it. Okay, so we're just sat in here, we're just like, why is this happening? What does this mean? So I'm going to give some examples. Okay, I think one was like the Looney Tunes. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but this is one where they were spoke different. And so yeah, there are aspects within our lives, from obviously being, there are aspects in our lives where we was little and then we're older and it's just like, hang on a minute, they don't make sense. I thought it said this, I thought it said that. Okay, so there's many that people have, questioned throughout, ever the internet's existed as well, because it's normally like through the internet and stuff where people have actually looked back and gone, hang on a minute, this doesn't look right. Is someone just playing tricks and remaking it and saying it's this, So obviously there is an aspect there where, people can make it up. But is this real? Like, what is the significance to this concept? Like, why is it happening? Why is there aspects of the Mandela effect taking place? I think the original theory to the Mandela effect was that wasn't it actually Mandela who they said he died, and he actually didn't. Like, he was set free from prison, I think, but people say that he died in prison or something. So it's kind of like, wow, like this is a very different reality to the being in prison and dying in prison to being set free. And I think it was that song, wasn't it? Free Nelson Mandela. Yeah. So it was like that aspect where he was set free and he died. I think it was, everyone went to his funeral and stuff. It was just like, hang on a minute, I thought he died in prison. Everyone was just like, wow, this, so this is why we call it the Mandela effect. Okay, so let's get into this now. So as an aspect of how we can explain this, how can we explain this phenomena that takes place? So we have to look at it like, okay, I'll explain it and then we'll go into it a little bit more. So imagine two bubbles in time. Okay, like, so we've got two bubbles in time and they come together and they merge. Okay, and it's almost like that has taken place in this concept of the Mandela effect. It's almost like two universes have come together, two bubbles have come together and merged together. Okay, so if I bring this down now into a 3D aspect for everyone to understand, if we don't understand that bubble aspect, is that two people have different lives and they meet each other and they fall in love and then they come together and they merge. So it's almost like they share the same house, they share the same bed, they share, certain things. And this is almost like a merge taking place as a 3D point of focus. So yeah, let's go back to the bubble. Okay, so the bubbles join together. So this is like the Mandela effect. It's almost like there are two potential realities that have come from this merge, this unit, like this aspect of merging that's taken place. So if we understand this now as almost like two universes coming together, almost like these bubbles are the universes and they've come together and this is it. How does this happen? Okay, so we have an aspect within our lives, which I guess if we were to just focus on ourselves as human, as a person, and we talk about Akashic records, for example, as I've explained in my previous videos, but let's break this down a little bit more. So these aspects we can remember, we bring them into our lives, like I've said, okay? So it's almost like it pushes through into this lifetime, okay, from our unconscious aspect that's accessible to us. So it pushes through into this lifetime. So if we then understand that there's potential lifetimes, there's potential ones that can come through into this one as an Akashic record, and we can see this. So if we understand it as a 4-point of focus, so it makes it simpler. So we've got a quadrant aspect to a graph, for example. Now we have our lifetime, which is 1 point of it, and that's the mark, that's that aspect, and then that's our life, and it goes up and down, blah, 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 and it keeps going. It's the age, and you keep going all the way to the end, right? So we've got other ones playing out as well. So we've got one up there, one down there, and one down there. Okay, but this is our life. So it's almost like these lifetimes are our Akashic records. We can hack them into them. They come to us as well, in times in our lives and our DNA. So it's almost like these are hidden aspects to our DNA construct. Now, this is where we can begin to understand how our DNA works. We can begin to understand how aspects of our Akashic records can come into this lifetime, okay? So we can bring this together, right? So if we understand that aspect of our lifetime that's playing out in that one area, the one quadrant area, okay, and that's an aspect of a seal. So obviously this is our life, but then ones can push through into that quadrant, okay? So hopefully everyone's following me, because it's quite a hard topic to consider, to wrap our heads around, be open-minded, okay? Right, okay, so through this concept where these other lifetimes are pushing through the seal into this quadrant, our lifetime now, we understand that this can change the dynamics of our lifetime. Okay? This can change things. This is the Mandela effect, okay? This is how we can incorporate the aspect of understanding what a Mandela is, effect, and how it can actually interpret in our lives using spiritual processes. Okay? So we also have to understand that if it was to exist, it would have had to be there in the first place. Okay? So these aspects are playing out, they had to be there already in the first place for it to exist. for it to push through, for it to come through. So it had to be an aspect of a past life, okay, or a lifetime that you have had, okay, for it to be relevant into your life now. So this then actually can bring into an understanding where a dialogue sets into motion a way for it to have always existed, okay? So there's always that element there where it existed once and it can push through again if we are unconscious of it. So we bring that forward into our conscious mind, accept the fact that it's there. Now, are we going to allow that to come through into our physical life in this one, in that quadrant that we are living and existing in, or are we going to just let that go? So these are aspects where an understanding can take place and then we can get rid of it, okay? So this is not really out there stuff, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to understand this, but this is really about bringing an awareness to the fact that Akashic records are extremely important, and there's obviously a reason why they're coming through. So, as I've said in the past, it's an aspect of unfinished business. But is it an aspect of unfinished business? Is it just a lesson that we need to learn that we didn't learn in our last lifetime? But yeah, you know, these things are like aspects of addiction, for example. That is another one that can easily come through. Or rubbish relationships. Or, you know, anything really that, you know, doesn't serve us. Now, this can be an aspect of Mandela effect, 'cause it's like in our lives as an aspect of, in terms of Akashic records, okay, because it's an aspect of where healing needs to take place, okay. Obviously, the Mandela effect is just an example of like how the universe is merged together. This is just an aspect of understanding. And maybe why this can take place. Because if we can see it in things like from when we was younger, we thought one thing was one way, and then when we're older, we see it in a different way. Now, why is that taking place? That might just be a very small detail that, you know, we didn't really understand or come across, but now we are. Now, there has to be a significance to this, there's a meaning to this, there's a deeper reason why this is taking place. Just because the Looney Tunes has 2 O's in it and not a U and an N, that's very big to everybody. So we have to understand that if that's coming through like that, there's something to learn from that. There's something to understand. There's a deeper reason for that to take place in the first place. So hopefully you can kind of understand where I'm coming from with this. But obviously I've gone into the deeper roots of why this is actually happening. Why the Mandela effect is maybe a good position to take where you can understand your own life. Where we can develop our lives. Where we can understand the spiritual concepts of Akashic records. And then bringing that stuff down, understanding it, and then letting it go, okay? Or accepting it as fate, or as an aspect of destiny, okay? So, this was a really short video, but I really wanted to push that one out there. So, thank you for listening, and hopefully you found this informative. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will definitely be back with more. Take care.